Battlefront 2 sucks, and it's a game I really want to like, because I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. I've seen every movie, I've watched it, every movie more times than I've counted. I've watched Star Wars Rebels, I've watched Star Wars The Clone Wars, I've watched all of Star Wars, and Battlefront 2 seemed like the perfect game, because when it first came out, the game had just the trailers for it were amazing. It looked like the game was, I mean, it was like the saving grace for all Star Wars fans, because Disney has this monopoly on the game where nobody can really, no company except for EA is allowed to create a game for it. And this is the first game that's come out for Star Wars that's been a good-looking game in a very long time. So I was extremely excited for when this game first came out, but it wasn't what I was expected. It was a disappointment, basically. And some of the parts that made it look so good were the actual canon story. And if you don't know what canon is, it just means it's an actual part of the Star Wars story. It contributed to the whole story of the game. And that was something that hasn't been done, because a game, Force Unleashed, which I'm sure a lot of people have played, it was on PlayStation 2 and 3, and it was a really good game, but it wasn't canon. They decided it wasn't canon, so none of it actually happened in the game. But this game, it had a good story. It was very short, but it was the first time they had actually had a canon story when Disney had taken over this, and it was pretty cool. And one thing that Battlefront 1 didn't have, it also didn't have the story, but this one had actual popular characters. It had people like Kylo Ren, Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi was just added, General Grievous, who everybody loves, and they've added actually good characters who people want to use. So that seemed another way that this game was going to be very good. But they weren't. I mean, I'll get to it in a minute. And then they also added popular maps from the actual movie, which hadn't been done before. They added maps like I'm playing right now. They added Geonosis, they added Camino, and the plot to both of these was actually in Star Wars The Clone Wars. So if you were an avid Star Wars fan, then you would understand the references and everything that was happening to it, and that's something that hadn't been done in any game before, and I really appreciate that still as a part of this game. And I think it's really cool that they did that, and that they incorporated Star Wars Clone Wars, because that hasn't been done before. And, I mean, I did really like that. That was really cool. That was one of the coolest things that I think, that's the best part EA did. That's the one thing that made me want to get this game, was that they actually had it made the maps, or the plot of the maps and the things we were doing was because of Star Wars Clone Wars. And the best part, I think, for everybody, because EA made this game, they didn't have any viable DLCs, and EA is notorious for having just the DLCs making the game, essentially, that the game wasn't even what it was originally supposed to be without the DLCs, and with the DLCs, and without them having viable DLCs in this game, the game could actually be, like, good. I mean, you wouldn't have to buy any DLCs, and you could actually get what you wanted instead of having to pay $60 just to get a full price $60 game. Instead of paying $120 for a game, you could get a real game that has no viable DLCs and really made the game shine a lot better. And sorry. And just EA was so notorious for that, so it really made a lot of people feel better that they weren't going to have viable DLCs in the game. And sorry, I'm not very good at this game. I haven't played it in a very long time. And I mean, for all this, I mean, all of the Star Wars community wanted this game. Everybody who I knew, they were excited for this game, who loved Star Wars, because it was the Star Wars player's dream. I mean, it's just, for those people who really love Star Wars, this game had what you wanted. It gave the players something, unlike other games that EA has done, like Battlefront 1. It didn't really give people, like, the Star Wars, like, what people actually loved about Star Wars. And, I mean, it's just, why would it still suck when they've added all this stuff to make it perfect for the Star Wars fan base? And one of the reasons is this game has been out for over a year, and they have only released 2 maps, I believe, 2 or 1, and this is one of the first maps. I think this, I don't know for sure. I haven't played this game in a very long time, and the reason why I stopped playing is because they never updated it. I was playing the exact same maps, the exact same game modes, and a lot of times with the same people. And I mean, when I used to play it all the time, I always was first on the leaderboard. I wasn't really trying, and it wasn't really exciting because it wasn't much of a challenge. I mean, it was cool to, you know, be able to play Star Wars and be able to have, I mean, just a cool experience because I really love Star Wars. But they never changed the game. I think there's only about 16 guns in this game, 4 for each character, and they haven't asked for every gun, and I've used every gun, and I've gotten all of my characters to level 30 plus so I can use everything, and it's boring. I mean, there's nothing else for me to do. I've basically finished the game. I mean, and this is the first time they've actually added characters, but I mean, adding 3 characters, they've added Finn, they've added, and we won. That was really quick. And things like that. I mean, I wasn't even trying that game, and I got 7th. I mean, no, it's not very good, but I mean, I was barely trying. I'm talking this whole time. And it's just, it's not a challenge. And it's because they don't add anything new. There's no, like, high-skill guns. Every gun is pretty easy to use in this game. I just do not find the game difficult or challenging. And it doesn't have very many maps either. Like, even though they aren't having viable DLCs, but still, I mean, just because you don't add viable DLCs doesn't mean you shouldn't still contribute to the game. This game has been out for over a year, and they've added 1 map, I believe. They've added Geonosis, and that is it. They've added nothing else, and this game has been out for over a year. And that's just depressing for a game like EA, who is sponsored basically by Disney, because Disney owns it, and they're, like, letting them make this game, and they just don't even update it that often. I understand they have other games like Battlefield 5, but they have a whole team dedicated just to making this, and they can only make 16 maps, and then they can't add another map for a whole year. And that's just depressing. I mean, I wanted this game to be more than what it is now. I wanted it to be something I could play a lot, and something that was a challenge and I could be rewarded at since I'm good at it. And there's nothing really for that. Like, I'll do really good in a game, but I won't get any rewards for it because of things like microtransactions. And when this game first came out, that was why people really didn't like this game, was because of microtransactions, but I thought they were good because it added skins to the game. And I mean, it's cool to be able to customize your own clone trooper. I mean, I thought that was really cool. I can look like some of the clone troopers that were with Yoda on Kashyyyk and Revenge of the Sith, and I think that's really cool in itself. And it's just, no abilities have been added either. I mean, if you look at my ability slots, they changed it about 6 months ago how the abilities worked, but other than that, they have added no abilities since this game has started. It's a bit sad that no weapons have been added to this game. I mean, no abilities have been added to this game. Only 2 heroes, or 3 heroes if you want to count Finn, but he came out quite early, have been added since this game has started. And for a game that's been out over a year, I would expect there to be at least like 4 new guns, 1 for each class, and 4 heroes and 4 maps. Like, basically like a basic DLC you would see in EA. And I mean, it's just depressing. It's just as bland as when it began. There is no texture to the game, there's no details to the game that were there when this game first started. I mean, it's sad how little they've added since this game has begun. I mean, I don't know what to think about that. It's just sad that this game has been out for so long and they can't even release anything like that. They can't even release anything worthwhile. For it being out over a year, I can't overemphasize that. This game has been out for over a year and almost nothing has been added. And one thing I think that games need now is they need a competitive scene to it, and Battlefront doesn't have that. If Battlefront 2 had some sort of competitive scene to it, I would be playing that so much, but it doesn't. That's for a lot of reasons, but there's just, for people who are good players, there's just no reason to continue playing because you're not going to do anything from being good at this game. Like, if I want to play Rainbow Six Siege, I want to get really good at that game because it has one of the largest competitive scenes in any game, and it has a ranked game mode where I can compete at a higher level than the casual gameplay, and this game doesn't have that, and that's why it's dying. It's just because it's just too simple of a game. I think it's very good for those who are big Star Wars nerds, and it's fun. It's a fun game. Yeah, not worth $60. I would say like $30 at the most, because all it really has is multiplayer. Because I mean, the story was good, but it was short and a bit boring. It wasn't anything special, and it's just unrewarding as well. It's not a good game. And to sum it up before I end this, it hasn't added enough since it started, and it doesn't have a competitive scene, and all games need some sort of competitive scene now to thrive. Because if you look at any game, the most popular games, say Fortnite, it has the best competitive scene out of any game out right now. If you look at Rainbow Six Siege, it has one of the best competitive scenes out there. If you look at Black Ops 4, best competitive scene out there. Every game that's one of the best is the best because it has an amazing competitive scene. A game needs a competitive scene to thrive, and this game doesn't have that. It doesn't have any rewards for you doing better than most or all players. It doesn't make sense. And like I've said, it's just a bit depressing, especially for Star Wars fans, because I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and to see one of my favorite series run as poorly as this one makes me a bit sad. That's a dog, and he's sleeping. Hopefully you guys like that. And sounds like he's having a nightmare, but I hope it's a good nightmare, or a good dream. And that's about sums it up for this video. I got a new mic, so I can now post videos more consistently. And it's still not the best mic ever. I hope to be able to get a better one soon. And thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to be doing another one of these soon, probably a gameplay soon, since I have a good mic that can accompany me while I do these, or a better mic. And if you watched, I hope you enjoyed it, because yeah, I'm going to be doing more of these soon, and thank you for watching.